Hey, Revenge Taken Gang. I hope you're well. My name is Liam, and today we're checking out some more relationship stories. If you love a Reddit story, why not hit the like button, subscribe, and maybe even hit that notification bell? Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Today's first story comes from Zo13ASD. It says, parents in their 40s treated me, a 21-year-old female, very badly, and I cut them off. Now they want a new beginning. Sorry if this is long. I have a non-identical twin sister. The two of us couldn't be more different. She is very beautiful, tall, and good-looking. She has always checked every box on her looks. I wasn't so lucky. I wasn't on the beautiful side and was shorter. Right now, I'm 5'0", and she's 5'8". She was also better at making friends and being sociable, while I was always the awkward sister. Now I know I'm on the autism spectrum, but I was only diagnosed 2 years ago. My parents never bothered with that. None of this makes my parents horrible. What makes them horrible is the way they treated me and my sister. They always treated her like she was an angel, and me like I was a loser. This goes back as early as when we were 3 to 4 years old. For every 20 pictures they have of her childhood, they have maybe 2 or 3 of mine. Literally, they have over 10 times as many pictures of her, with most being minor of both of us. She always got a lot of attention from everyone, and I got none. My parents spent much more money on her, too. If they wanted to spend $100 on clothes, $80 went to her and $20 to me. Their reasoning was that she's more beautiful and worth spending more on, while nobody looked at me anyway. They literally told me that many times. I was in a sports team, but they never once came to see me play, while they went to see my sister cheerleading every week. Extend this to everything, and you know the story of my life. I hated every second of my childhood. I hated my sister. Yes, I know none of this was actually her fault. I worked on myself with a therapist, so I no longer feel hate or blame towards her. Since I was 15, I counted the days until I turned 18 and could leave and never come back. And that's what I did. It's the age when you can leave home without parental consent, where we live. I left home the day after my 18th birthday. The night before, my parents threw a birthday party for us, well, for her. Their gift for her was a $1,000 gift card from a luxury designer brand. For me, a $100 gift card for a bookstore. They argued that $100 gave me the same level of ability to buy the things I like, books, as $1,000 would for her expensive clothes. Okay, that's their logic. They knew I was thinking of leaving but had no idea I wanted out ASAP. I left that day. They asked me to stay and let them help out, but I said, I've had enough of you. Leave me alone. I never made any contact with them after that. As soon as I was able to move to another city to get even further away, I did because I hated that city too. They called and texted me for a while, but I never answered or replied. I changed my number eventually and removed them from all social media. I set up my email so that if they sent me anything, it would automatically get deleted. That's the current status of things on my side. 2 days ago, my dad sent me a message on Facebook. My initial instinct was to delete it, but I opened it and started reading. It was the first message in months from them. He explained that he understands they were not good parents and did a lot of wrong, but maybe we can start over. He asked if I can come over for dinner at some point so all of us can get to know each other better. I haven't responded. I don't know if I should give them another chance or just delete the message and not look back. Personally, I think a new start, or whatever they want to call it, is __. They can't just erase the past themselves and say, we're moving on. Let's start afresh. They need to admit and own the way they treated me growing up. Even if I want to accept them back into my life, that's up to me. Maybe I could explore that with my therapist going forward and see if it benefits me or if I'm better off without them. I can't see how reopening old wounds will help me, but I know people do change. However, we've read plenty of stories where people only invite you back for ulterior motives, money issues, even asking for organs. Yeah, that was a rough story. We'll cover some comments now before moving on to the update. Remember says, so all of us can get to know the new each other, and asks, are they saying they want to get to know the new you because there was nothing __ wrong with you before? You never have to contact them again. Hold your ground. You have no responsibility to them at all. I really caution you against hoping that things will be better. If you feel stable enough and think it might be worth your time, you can give it a shot, but don't expect anything good to come of it. You say this was the first message in months? What was the last message? Months is not long enough to indicate any real change. Dinosaur Train says, he explained that he understands they were not good parents and did a lot of wrong, but maybe we can start over. They add, there is no reason for you to ever deal with them in person. But naturally, you must wonder if they've learned anything or come to any self-awareness about how they've treated you. Try for the best of both worlds. Ask them in the Facebook message to detail just how they were bad parents. If their response doesn't show any growth, then cut them off. You can warn them that you're going to do that if they don't get it, or you can cut them off without warning. It's up to you. Sometimes people do learn, but they probably didn't. If you want to know, email is the way to go. If you want to just delete, that's fine too. Just go with your instincts. They won't lead you wrong. Loopsy Loopy says, honestly, and maybe I'm just too spiteful, but if my parents treated me like that, I'd give a big old __ you in response to that request. No one is perfect, parents included. If they had a few rough years, then maybe I'd be willing to let it slide. But to treat you like that your entire childhood and openly admit to treating you unfairly, __ that, if you feel your life will be improved by fixing that relationship, go for it. But don't do it for those __ do it for you. You don't owe them anything. A deleted user says, it's really up to you. People who act that terribly for that long usually get worse, not better. It isn't like they just did one little thing that was mean here and there. They actively made sure to give you the short end of the stick your whole life. They had a chance for the entire 18 years of your life and never took it to make things better for you. Why should they start now when you've been on your own for a while? I think that is disgustingly unfair to you. I'm sure you will get comments saying you should meet up with them and hold their hands and tell them they're okay or forgive them, but I say screw it. You owe them nothing. Usually, when you let somebody back into your life who mistreated you terribly, they do it again, no matter how nice they seem at the beginning. OP did come back with an update and said, thanks to your comments and suggestions, they were super helpful and helped me see things a lot more clearly. Love you all. This is a big update and something quite shocking. I've got to go back to my therapist before I get to it. A lot of you asked about my relationship with my sister. Well, there's no relationship really. I spent all my childhood hating her and never really had a nice relationship with her. She was not like my parents, but they spoiled the hell out of her, and she sort of always saw herself as the better one of the two of us. Not surprised there. Right now, I don't even blame her for that. On the day that I was leaving, I gave my sister a hug and told her that maybe if we had different parents, we could have really been sisters. But that's not how it turned out in this life. I suggested that maybe we could make up for it later ourselves. I told her that if she wanted to talk, she could call me and we could meet up. She never called me, as it appeared from the last post. I wanted to talk to my therapist about this, and she suggested that I could initiate some conversation and see how it goes. Based on her assessment, she was happy if I wanted to go and see them. I just needed to understand that there was no obligation to go or stay. I replied to my father's message with this: Hi, Dad, for us to ever have a chance of seriously starting over, you owe me an answer. I expect an honest answer. no excuses, no common responses, no talking in person. Just give it to me straight. I can handle reading it if you can handle writing it. If you're not willing to give me that, then I'm not willing to start over. He came back to me the next day with a long message explaining everything. He told me that he and my mom wanted a child, but only one child, as they didn't have the resources and energy for more than one. They realized that we were twins, and this screwed up everything and made them sad rather than happy. They decided to give one of us up for adoption. They even found a couple. In case you wondered, I was the one they decided to give away because I was smaller and my eyes weren't blue. That's how they decided which child to keep. They arranged everything and even took me to the couple. The couple bailed out before signing the papers when they saw us. They couldn't handle separating twin sisters. After that, they looked for other couples, but no one seemed willing to adopt one of the sisters. They even considered putting me into foster care, but couldn't live with themselves if they did. It's strange that couples who desperately wanted to adopt couldn't be heartless enough to separate twin sisters, but their __ parents wanted to do it. So they had to raise me themselves, and they didn't enjoy it at all. In their minds, the fact that they didn't put me into foster care was a favor in itself, more than what I apparently deserved. That's why they never cared to do more for me. Their full time and resources belonged to my sister, and the small part that came to me was seen as me taking what was my sister's away. That's how they saw me. No wonder my childhood turned out the way it did. He said that deep down, they always knew what they were doing was wrong, but they could never step up and do the right thing over the 18 years. They thought changing the dynamic would negatively affect my sister, as she was used to getting more time and resources, while I was used to not getting it. They believed making it more equal would be a luxury for me and a pain for her. They thought it wasn't fair for my sister to be in pain for the sake of my luxury. Again, their logic. I don't even know what to say to that. Ever since I left, Mom and Dad have been having trouble. My sister is off to college, and they're alone now with all the time in the world to think about what they did. They've been to marriage counseling, and according to him, that has helped them see everything clearly now and how cruel they were to me. He says they want to start over and make up for all of it, if I'm prepared to allow them. This is quite shocking for me. This explains a lot about why my childhood turned out the way it did. I'm going to be honest. I wish they'd given me away for adoption. I really, really do. I could have been with adoptive parents who really wanted me, rather than with biological parents who never did. I don't believe they've changed, though. This could be the result of my sister, the golden child, being away and not spending as much time with them, and then trying to replace her with me. I don't want to do that at all, but I don't know. I've got to talk with my therapist. Please give me your opinions. You guys were so useful to me last time. Your help means a lot. There were a couple of top comments on this one. The Great Avocado says, take your time talking this out with your therapist. There's no rush, and it's not like you've needed them these past 3 years. There are some things you should consider as you contemplate how you will move forward. Do you think this is about them feeling guilty, or more about them trying to do right by you? If it's the former, forget them. No matter how you look at it, their logic was completely flawed from the beginning. Even if they say they now understand their mistakes, changing their logic will be hard for them and may lead to new, more messed up ways that you haven't seen yet. Do you think having a relationship with them will help you at all? They're probably just sad about the empty nest and see this as another way to fill the void until your sister comes back. This sounds more like it benefits them with no clear benefit for you. They might still have an ulterior motive, maybe not something as drastic as needing a kidney like the top comment from your OP, but something else. Be cautious. Your parents are terrible for what they did to you. I'd personally never forgive them and would never speak to them again, but I'm also a vengeful, hateful person. What your parents did deserves vengeful, hateful treatment, so take that for what you will. Be strong, OP. You're 10 times better than all three of them, no matter what happens. One more comment I liked. I feel like it's more painful to read his explanation than your original post. I feel sick. They're trying to alleviate their consciences. There's something you must understand about the difference between accepting an apology and giving forgiveness. It doesn't even seem like you've received an apology, just a request for forgiveness. When someone genuinely feels sorry for something they did, they apologize. The intent of an apology should be to convey that one is truly sorry for their actions. The recipient of the apology may then decide to accept it if they feel the giver is truly remorseful. Sometimes, though, people ask for forgiveness. Asking for forgiveness is an inherently selfish act. Given an apology hasn't been accepted, it doesn't imply that the recipient forgives. It just means that they acknowledge the giver is sorry. Forgiveness is entirely up to the person who was wronged and is given only when that person is ready to give up the burden of the wrong that was committed against them and all the feelings that come with it. It is not a gift that is given to the person who did wrong, nor is it something that the person is entitled to. It's entirely for the benefit of the person who was wronged. Your father is asking you to forgive him. He's not apologizing. He's asking you to forgive your parents so their consciences are relieved. They're carrying guilt that will be alleviated if you forgive them and do not hold their wrongdoings against them. Instead of what you've been given, you deserve a genuine apology, which you can decide whether or not to accept. You also deserve time to decide whether or not you are ready to forgive. Forgiveness may be given in private or shared with the people who have wronged you. You aren't obligated to tell them whether or not you have forgiven them. It is for your benefit only. Remember all of this as you proceed. What do you make of that situation? How would you advise, OP? Let us know your thoughts. Would you forgive them? Would you be able to move past it? Is there ever a chance of meeting back up? I think for me that would be it. But what do you think? Let us know. Let's move on to another story. Our next story comes from Kiki Cave, who says, "Am I the __ for allowing my niece and nephew to destroy the house by not disciplining them after my sister-in-law specifically instructed me not to discipline them? My brother, Casey, 32 years old, is much older than me, 17 years old. He's married to my sister-in-law, Mandy, 36 years old, and they have 2 kids. My nephew, Nick, 3.5 years old, and my niece, Maya, 2 years old. Mandy recently asked my parents if I could babysit Nick and Maya since Mandy wanted to visit her mom, and the original babysitter canceled last minute. I'd never babysat Nick or Maya before. I honestly don't have any real experience in babysitting kids under 5, but my parents begged and offered to pay me, so I agreed. Babysitting Nick and Maya was a nightmare. They acted like they had never been told no or been forced to behave in their entire lives. Drawing on the walls with crayons and markers, trying to flush bath toys down the toilet, throwing themselves on the floor, and screaming for candy. The list goes on and on. I called Mandy, explaining what Nick and Maya were doing and that I was having them stand in the corner for a timeout. Mandy ended up coming home early, but not to deal with Nick or Maya. Instead, Mandy was angry with me and told me that I wasn't allowed to discipline them because I'm not their mother and need to learn my place. The next weekend, last Friday, Mandy begged me to babysit Nick and Maya again because she wanted to visit her mom and couldn't find another babysitter. My parents had me agree, and Mandy told me again that I was not allowed to discipline Nick or Maya. I'm pretty sure this is the real reason why she couldn't get an actual babysitter for __. Since Mandy said I couldn't discipline them, I decided to do as I was told. I watched them to make sure they didn't try to run away from home or anything, but otherwise left Nick and Maya to their own devices. The house was obviously a wreck by the time Mandy got home. Mandy was furious with me and tried convincing my parents not to pay me. My parents still paid me since the deal is a deal, but they said they were disappointed with me because, even though Mandy's no discipline rule was silly, I had a dozen better ways of keeping my niece and nephew occupied, using activities like crafts or hide and seek, instead of being spiteful and immature and just letting them destroy the house. Casey hasn't said anything about it. He is kind of an absentee father, to be honest. He spends most of his time at work. When he is home, he just acts like the fun uncle, while Mandy does the actual parenting. I'm looking for unbiased perspectives on here. Am I the __? Now, obviously, this was on am I the __? But it should also be posted to malicious compliance, I think. But Kat Fallon says, not the __. Maybe you could have redirected the kids, but maybe you couldn't, and you had absolutely no recourse if that happened, as it was almost certain to do. I'm pretty sure this is the real reason why she couldn't get a babysitter for Nick and Maya. That says you may be 17, but you're a sharp kid. You are very probably right. You're not babysitting these kids again. Disney Millennial says, not the __. I find this to be hilarious. I'm a school teacher, and believe me, I can spot the kids who aren't told no. Lack of discipline on day one is not cute. It sounds like Mandy needs parenting classes. Mick says, 2 years old is, in my opinion, too young for a timeout. The kids need discipline, which is different from saying that they need punishment. But you've been set up to fail here. You're a teen with basically no experience with toddlers. You know nothing about how they think, and Mandy and Casey haven't given you any tools to use. Natural, responsible parents will tell you what the kids can and can't do and what strategies they use to keep the kids behaving sensibly. So I'm saying not the __, because Mandy and Casey clearly had a responsibility to give you some instruction for caring for their kids. They failed to do so. Dysfunctional Teddy says, not the __. Absolutely not. A timeout is a very reasonable consequence for their actions. They will learn to stop and think about their actions. You are 100% in the right when you are in the care of those children to care for those children. Besides, Mom told you not to discipline, so you did what she asked and didn't intervene. And one more comment from Oh My God, It's So Small, who says, not the __. Your sister-in-law is __. I hope you never babysit for them again. They didn't deserve to have you do them that favor. They sound like horrible kids, and if you cannot discipline them, then it will be too hard to watch over them. Your sister and Laura made her own bed. Let her lie in it. If they keep asking for babysitting, either insist your parents do it, or they all have to agree to let you discipline the kids. Good luck. Now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your support and time always means the absolute world to me. Thank you so much for being involved, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.